After his trip to Berlin in 2002, screenwriter Christopher McQuarrie brought the idea of a feature film based on the July 20th plot to his friend, director Bryan Singer. The two had previously collaborated on Singer's first feature film, Public Access, and on the highly acclaimed suspense thriller, The Usual Suspects.
Chris and I are great friends. We've known each other since we were kids. We made World War II films in my backyard. Growing up Jewish, it's interesting. For me, it was very important to understand the development of the Reich and to understand how that came to be. I think my fascination with the Second World War began with a film I did years ago called Apt Pupil. And I knew that not all Germans were necessarily Nazis. It would be devastating to imagine that the whole of a people could be completely involved with mass murder and such hate.
After reading McQuarrie's script, Singer signed on to direct, excited by the prospect of shedding new light on a little-known chapter in World War II history. In March of 2007, the filmmakers secured financing for the project, now titled Valkyrie, from United Artists. They also received a commitment from actor Tom Cruise to play the leading role of Klaus von Stauffenberg.
There was not a conscious effort to say we're going to make a story about Klaus von Stauffenberg. But Stauffenberg is far and away the central character of the drama on July 20th, not only because he delivered the bomb, but because what he was responsible for doing after the delivery of the bomb. He's a character that takes you through the entire conspiracy.
As the production fell into place, the filmmakers decided to photograph the period exteriors on location in Berlin.
The nice thing about Berlin is that a lot of the buildings that were there during World War II actually exist, and it gives you sort of this authentic feel, and, you know, the key to this whole thing was being as authentic as possible.
More than anything else, you shoot in Berlin because this is where the events took place. The city is haunted by so many ghosts, and there's so much about Berlin that still holds on to the war.
On July 19, 2007, cameras rolled for the first time on Valkyrie.
Pause! Take one more.
The production was scheduled to shoot for 15 weeks and featured an international cast of acclaimed actors, which included Kenneth Branagh as General Henning von Tresckow, Tom Wilkinson as General Friedrich Fromm, and Terence Stamp as General Ludwig Beck. For the filmmakers, accuracy and integrity were key objectives.
Tighter lens on Kretz, and then behind the shoulder.
Bryan wants everything to be as accurate as possible, which we wanted as well.
Action.
In certain cases, we had to combine characters, compress time and events, but we wouldn't make a change like that unless it serviced the story and allowed us to get the spirit of what was actually happening. The truth is better than anything you could ever make up.
These men tried to kill one of the most evil people who ever lived so that they could save their country, save Europe, and save the world. And so we focused on July 20th and the events of July 20th as the thing we wanted to tell. The story itself is so dramatic and so rich and so real. Why wouldn't you tell the story as truthfully as you possibly could?
We were guests of Germany while we were there.
Great. Nice to meet you. Very nice to meet you.
We got so much support from these people. One day while we were shooting, this woman walked onto set and she broke out a photo album and showed pictures of, you know, Lieutenant von Haeften and General Ulbricht, who'd been at parties at this house. And this had been her family home. I called a florist in Berlin that was sending flowers to somebody, and the girl I spoke with told me her name was von Tresckow, and I said, "Oh, like Henning von Tresckow?" And she said, "Well, yeah, it's actually, you know, he's, you know, my grandfather." It's amazing, and it really opens your eyes to realize they had to do what they did, and what they did really mattered and made a difference.
Bewegen sich nicht. Ausrichten und hinstellen. Wird dafür das erste stehen, wie gehabt.
When the time came to film the emotional climax at the Bendler block, the seasoned cast and crew were unprepared for just how emotional the experience would be.
Didn't hit me till that moment how important it was to film in that location. This journey had come in some way to a full circle. We had other authentic locations, but this one, and this is it.
After researching this subject matter for so many years, I didn't realize how emotional it would be to shoot at the Bendler block and to shoot the conspirators' execution. Before we started rolling, the whole cast and crew stood around the courtyard. Chris read a letter from one of the conspirators to his family.
Perhaps there will yet come a time that will judge us not as scoundrels, but as prophets and patriots. That this wondrous call may give honor to God is my fervent prayer.
It's a very personal film for all of us involved, and it is a great honor for me to play this character, to represent the spirit of this man. That they had hope for the future and the beauty and brilliance of this country.
It's a very sensitive scene in history, and we're shooting at a place where it occurred. If you could grace this place with a minute of silence, that would be very much appreciated.
To be there in the place where this really happened, this moment of silence is just incredibly moving.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And action on the vehicle!
For Germany, it's one of the stories of World War II that they can be proud of. We were there to make a movie that told the story in as respectful a way as possible. Not only for the German people, who know the story very well, but for the rest of the world who do not.